Good morning and happy Monday. It's time for another Mindful Play Monday Live, and we are approaching our 100th live Mindful Play Monday episode, so stay tuned for more details next week coming up about our giveaway with several of our favorite small businesses and small sensory play shops. So I will have more on our feed this week as we're preparing for that. And today we are celebrating and working on making a little musical instrument, if you will, called a spin drum. And we're going to use this to help us with our mindful breathing as well as tuning in to our bodies and our heartbeats. And you can also use it as a fun little fidget tool in your calming corner, in the car, wherever you're on the go, to create with your students or your little ones at home. So for this activity, you do need to do a little bit of prep work ahead of time. You're going to start with some thicker cardboard, and we've already cut out our circles, but we just traced around a plastic cup. So really any size will work for this. Really like a drinking cup, the mouth of a drinking cup worked great for this activity. And you do want the thicker cardboard. So you can kind of see this is that like 2-ply thicker cardboard that has the little mesh in the middle there. So you do want the thicker cardboard, not the thin one like you would find on a cereal box, because it needs to be sturdy. And we're going to use it to make our drums. So you want it to be nice and firm. The other thing you're going to need is a skewer or a little dowel rod. We just grabbed some of these from our cabinet. We use them for like s'mores. You could use them to make like kebabs, whatever you have on hand there. You'll need something to decorate your drum with. So we used our quick dry, quick stick paints. You could also color. You could use regular paint, tempera paint, anything with that. A pencil, some scissors, and then also yarn and some pony beads. So we're going to tie a bead to the end of our yarn pieces, and when we're all done, you'll have something that kind of looks like a lollipop on a stick, and it's going to be your spin drum. So I'll stop talking for a minute so you can hear what it sounds like. So it's going to be a fun little fidget tool as well as a noise maker or a musical instrument. And then of course you can paint and decorate and draw any design on there that you like. So that's what we're making today with our spin drum. So the first thing, like I said, you're going to want that thicker cardboard. We just recycled an old box here, and trace around a circle. We used a plastic drinking cup. Anything you have that's a circular shape will work. Just depends on how large you want to make that drum. The second thing you're going to do is then go and decorate both sides. So just to save us a little time and not having to sit and watch paint dry on our live, I went ahead and decorated both sides using our quick sticks paint. Then you'll take that dowel rod and poke your 2 holes across from each other, and that's going to be where you will attach those pieces of yarn with your pony beads on them. Good morning, thanks for joining us. So the length of your yarn is just going to depend on how large your circle is. So I always like to cut a little extra yarn to give us plenty of space to tie onto our spin drum, and then you can always come back and cut off any excess. So I think this was about 6 inches, but by the time we're done, it's going to end up only being probably around 2.5 inches, because you want your string not to be so long or it's going to swing around and not actually tap your drum. So again, it's going to depend on how large your circle is, but a good rule of thumb is to have about 2 inches of string left. So after we have attached our pony beads to one end, we're going to take our yarn and put it through the holes that we made on our cardboard circle. And I like to use the dowel rod to kind of help me poke it through there so it's easy to grab. And then I'm going to keep pulling until I can line up that pony bead to be about in the middle of the drum, so that when I am twisting it and swinging it, you can see it's going to have enough space to hit not only the middle of one side, but when it spins around, it should have enough slack in your yarn to hit the other side as well. So you don't want it to be too long, because again, it's going to fly off the edge there. So about halfway, roughly 2 inches or so, depending on the size of your circle, enough space that you have leeway to go around both sides. And then you're going to tie it off. Just a quick double knot, doesn't have to be anything fancy. So we'll go ahead and tie that. And then you can test it as you're tying. Make sure that your bead can hit both sides. Good morning, thanks for joining us. We're making spin drums today, and we're going to show how we can use these for mindfulness. as a fun little fidget tool and to help us tune into our breathing and our heartbeat. So I've got that tied off there. I'm going to go ahead and trim my excess. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side. So I've got 2 pieces of yarn here, and I've made my 2 holes on either side directly across from each other on my cardboard circle. Again, I'm going to pull it up so that I have about halfway. I want to test it, make sure that I can swing and tap on both sides so that when my spin drum is spinning, it hits both sides and makes that really cool click, clack, tip, tap sound on the drum. Oh, here, I should have angled the camera down. All I'm doing is just tying that extra piece off. And then I'm going to, again, trim off the extra yarn that we don't need. So you're going to have something like that. So you can kind of see the 2 pieces. I'm going to also trim off these little extra pieces here. That's why it's always nicer to start with a longer piece of yarn, because you can't really add yarn to yarn, but you can always trim off any extras. So we've got something like that now. So you've got the 2 pieces, and then this would be a great time to decorate. So if you did want to draw a picture, like a little flower, a little swirl pattern, you could draw a rainbow, clouds, stars, whatever tickles your fancy, whatever helps you with your mindfulness. This would be a great time to do that. If you painted, you can use a Sharpie or use any other kind of markers or darker outlines to draw on either side. So I'm just going to do a quick drawing. I'll do a heart on one side, like so, and then maybe a quick little sun. Something that's going to bring joy and make us smile when we take a look at that. So we just did a quick heart, quick little sun. Again, you could draw whatever you like. And then you're going to want to help, if you have younger ones, if you're doing this with little ones at home, with those dowels or with those skewers, like you have the pointy end. This is where the adult's going to want to come in and help, and why we need that thicker cardboard. So you can kind of see in between the little pieces of the mesh cardboard there's some little slots or like little holes. You're going to line up your dowel and stick it right down in one of those openings. Try to get it in the middle there. Perfect. So that when you insert that dowel rod, it kind of goes easily in between the 2 pieces of cardboard, and then you have a perfect handle for your spin drum. Now, we did have some like extra ribbon left over. You could tie ribbon to the bottom. You could even encourage your little ones to paint or decorate these sticks for their handles as well. Totally up to you, totally customizable. Again, I'm just going to scoot this down a little bit so it's more level across. So you can decorate those however you like, and then keep them in your calming corner or at desks as a fidget tool. And then you can also use them to help with your breathing and your heartbeat. So spin drums are really quick and easy to make. They're a fun little instrument. You could encourage your students to make music with them. You could do these in music class. And then also think about the speed and the pace at which they're turning. So this is going to help us tune in and focus and be mindful in the present moment. Thinking about what sounds you hear. Ask them to describe what they hear. Is it a tap? Is it a click? Is it a pop? Use those good adjectives to describe what sounds you hear. And then listen to the change in pace. So this is going to be a great visual tool for us when we think about our breathing. When we're breathing really fast, it's kind of stressful, right? It's kind of chaotic. And when we're breathing really fast, when we're feeling nervous or anxious or frustrated or scared, that can make us sound really out of control. But if we slow down and be mindful of our breath and try to sync our breathing with the drum, you can see how it's a lot quieter. It's a lot softer. It's a lot more rhythmic. So it's a good visual tool to help us pace ourselves with our breathing and understand visually what's going on with our brains and our bodies. Again, when we're feeling stressed, it's almost like fireworks. They're popping. They're going so fast. Your heart rate is increasing. Let's slow down. See what happens when we consciously try to focus on going a little bit slower, tuning into what's around us. And of course, you can make these as pretty or as fancy as you like. But a quick little art activity, a little spin drum to help you make some music, a nice fidget tool, and also a good visual reminder of how it feels and how we can monitor and organize our breathing to help us slow down. So I will have this up shortly in our stories as well as on our YouTube channel. And then be sure that you follow along next week for our 100th episode of Mindful Play Monday Live, as we have another activity and a chance to win some really great goodies and gift cards to some of our favorite small businesses and small shops. Thanks for joining us. I'll have the recording up here shortly. We made spin drums today and talked about how we can use those as a good visual tool for our breathing and our mindfulness, tuning into the present and looking at the sights and sounds that we hear and how that changes as our feelings and emotions change. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next time for our 100th episode with some special bonus options. Have a good one.